This is the Toyota performance experience. What if the biggest shock from Toyota's most trusted SUV isn't more luxury or another giant screen, but a declaration that reliability and aggression were never supposed to be enemies? The vehicle in front of you, the 2027 Toyota Land Cruiser GR Sport, appears designed to challenge everything the Land Cruiser name has stood for: comfort, caution, predictability, and replace it with widened stance, race, bred tuning, and a road presence Toyota has never attempted on this nameplate before. Hey music, stay with this one, because its most important feature may not be the widebody kit, some music, the bespoke leather cabin, or even the GR badged engine under the hood. Welcome to the real car, where we skip the brochure language and tell you what a vehicle actually is underneath the marketing. Everything about this stand says, Toyota, stop playing it safe. A matte graphite wrap swallows every panel on the Toyota Land Cruiser GR Sport, refusing to reflect light the way a normal SUV would. The honeycomb mesh grille sits wider and more aggressive than any Land Cruiser before it, framed by a slim LED light bar that cuts across the nose like a blade. Widened fenders push out over black multi-spoke wheels, and underneath, massive brake calipers hint at stopping power this platform has never needed before. Walk to the back and the story gets louder. Quad exhaust outlets, an integrated diffuser, and a raised spoiler that looks pulled straight from a performance sedan, not a family off-roader. This is a Land Cruiser that stopped trying to blend in, but step inside and the aggression disappears completely. Open the door and you're not in a rally prepped off-roader anymore. You're in a private lounge. Deep brown leather wraps the seats, doors, and dashboard, stitched with quilted detailing and finished with genuine carbon fiber trim across the console and door panels. This is Toyota's bespoke interior program, and it shows in details most SUVs never bother with: a starlight headliner that turns the roof into a night sky, individual rear captain's chairs, each with their own entertainment screen, and a floating center touchscreen running wireless navigation alongside a secondary rear seat control panel for climate and media. Even the door panels carry the theme forward, with carbon fiber inlays running along the window switches and handle surrounds, a detail most owners will notice on day one and appreciate every day after. The steering wheel alone tells the whole story on the GR Sport. Carbon fiber spokes wrapped in leather, a GR badge sitting where a standard Toyota emblem would go. Toyota didn't just make this Land Cruiser faster, they made it feel earned.
Picture the door closing behind you. The cabin goes quiet almost instantly, sealed off from the world the way Toyota's flagship interiors always manage. Then you press the start button, and unlike the standard Land Cruiser's composed, distant idle, the GR Sport is projected to answer back, a deeper exhaust note settling in just behind you, present but not overwhelming. Pull away, and the widened stance should translate into something the standard Land Cruiser has never offers her: confidence through a corner instead of just competence in a straight line. This isn't about lap times. It's about a vehicle finally feeling as capable as it looks. A widened, harder hitting SUV like this can't launch without safety hardware to match its new performance ceiling. Expect the Toyota Land Cruiser GR Sport to carry the full Toyota safety sense suite as a baseline: automatic emergency braking, adaptive cruise, lane trace assist, blind spot monitoring, but tuned for a heavier braking envelope and a wider footprint. A performance-oriented Land Cruiser needs sharper sensor calibration than the standard model, because the margin for error shrinks the moment you add real speed to a vehicle this size. None of this is the exciting part of the video, but it's the part that keeps the exciting part survivable. Pop the hood, and the aggression outside finally makes sense. A GR branded engine cover sits over a reworked intake system, complete with a performance air filter and turbo piping engineered for a level of response the standard Land Cruiser was never built to deliver. This isn't a badge job. Toyota Gazoo Racing doesn't lend its name to a vehicle unless the hardware underneath backs it up. Sharper throttle response, a retuned suspension for the widened stance, and brakes sized for genuinely quick, genuinely heavy stops. Would you trust a Land Cruiser to behave like a performance SUV without losing the durability that made it legendary in the first place? That tension is exactly what the GR Sport is built to resolve. Performance isn't only measured in numbers, it's measured in how a vehicle makes you feel every every time you press the pedal. The quad exhaust outlets on the Land Cruiser GR Sport aren't just a visual statement. A genuine GR tune typically reworks the exhaust note itself, giving the cabin a deeper, more deliberate growl under acceleration without crossing into obnoxious territory. Combined with a retuned throttle map, the goal isn't raw violence, it's immediacy. The difference between a standard Land Cruiser and this GR Sport shouldn't just be visible from the outside. It should be audible the moment the engine wakes up. The matte graphite wrap shown here isn't likely to be the only way to experience this build. GR Sport trims across Toyota's lineup typically pair aggressive exterior treatments with a tighter, more curated color palette than the standard model, usually monochrome or near monochrome finishes that let the widebody kit and black trim pieces do the talking rather than bright paint. Inside, expect the brown bespoke leather shown here to sit alongside darker, more driver-focused alternatives for buyers who want the performance hardware without the lounge-like presentation. The bigger question is how far Toyota lets buyers push customization, because a vehicle built around a motorsports sub-brand usually earns a more flexible options list than Toyota's conservative reputation would suggest. A widebody kit and a lowered stance always raise the same question. Does off-road capability survive the transformation? Wider fenders and performance wheels can quietly eat into approach and departure angles, and a stiffer performance suspension can compromise the long travel articulation that makes a real Land Cruiser trustworthy off-pavement. For the GR Sport to actually earn its badge, Toyota would need to prove this isn't just a street-tuned show car, that it can still cross the terrain a standard Land Cruiser was built for, without the visual aggression being the only thing that changed. A widebody GR badged Land Cruiser raises questions a standard buyer never has to think about. Wider fenders and performance wheels typically mean wider, more expensive tires. A reworked intake and retuned suspension likely means service intervals and parts costs that lean closer to a performance vehicle than a standard SUV. None of that should scare away the right buyer. Toyota's reliability reputation doesn't disappear the moment GR gets involved, but it does mean the GR Sport isn't simply a Land Cruiser with a body kit bolted on. It's a different ownership commitment, and Toyota would need to be transparent about that from day one. Remember what we said at the beginning, that the real story wasn't the widebody or the exhaust. Here it is. Toyota Gazoo Racing didn't build the Land Cruiser GR Sport to be the fastest SUV on a track. They built it to prove that genuine off-road durability and genuine performance engineering don't have to cancel each other out. Every other brand chasing this formula usually sacrifices one for the other. A performance SUV that can't handle real off-road abuse, or an off-roader with performance badges and nothing to back them up. The GR Sport is Toyota's answer to that compromise, and that's a far bigger statement than a wide body kit. This isn't the SUV for someone who wants a quiet, predictable Land Cruiser. It's for someone who wants the legendary reliability, but refuses to accept that reliability has to mean boring. If you believe a vehicle can be genuinely tough and genuinely thrilling at the same time, share this with someone who's never believed Toyota could build something this aggressive. This is The Real Car. Subscribe, because we're just getting started.